Listen up.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Wind Down with Kev. Thank you so much to all of our subscribers, to those of you that have already hit the notifications button. And if you haven't, today, click subscribe and notifications. You're in for amazing content. Also, must begin by thanking my sponsors, Carol Media and Canopy Connect. Please reach out to them for all things social, all things digital. And I must make mention of my banking partner, Wintrust Financial. So today I have a very exciting guest for you. We are going on a journey. We are going to Stowe, Ohio, where we're meeting with an award-winning agent. We're talking top 1%er, Agency Achievement Awards, honoring, national conference, national summit, you name it. If there's an award, he has won it. But more than that, he's a terrific community guy, amazing citizen. He's involved in his community. He's a major leader in the insurance industry. Like me, he's a coach with CWC. He's a leader in the Leadership Academy. He has his own podcast, and he's a member of some fun, innovating stuff like the Crazy Eight. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and give a warm Wind Down with Kev. Welcome to my friend, Mr. Bo Vincent. Bo, what's going on, my brother?
Man, I got chills.
I messed up, Bo. I gotta start. Before we start, I didn't mention your beautiful bride and your wonderful kids. So can we start it off? Can you correct me where I messed up? Can you shout out the family?
Listen, my wife and I, 17 years next month, we're going to be married. 17 years, 20 years together. We have three amazing kids. Our youngest is 7, middle 13, and our oldest will be 16 years. And a lot of people are going to say, Kevin, that's not possible. Look at him. He looks like he's 21 himself. But it is. It's true. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah.
Well, man, I love what you post. I love seeing you do things with your kids. So before we get into the insurance stuff, that's the easy stuff.
Right.
Talk to me about the kids. What sports are you coaching now? What are the kids into? And what are you doing? What are you doing with that?
Dude, you're getting me excited because I love my family and I love my kids. And I love leading them first and foremost before I get to lead other people. We got to start with leading them accurately and correctly. And I don't want to leave them and abandon them to lead other people. So I've been involved. I just finished up basketball, rec basketball. We finished 4th place out of 9. It was only my 2nd year coaching basketball, and it is not my forte, but I love doing it, and I love impacting my kids' lives and their friends' lives around them because that's the next generation. I'm also coaching a 13U travel baseball team as a head coach for the first time as a head coach. I've been a head coach in rec ball and other thing, but this is a whole nother level. And we've been practicing 2 days a week indoor for months now. That almost never stops in baseball. Summer's ramping up. And I'm so oldest for basketball, middle for baseball. And my youngest, I'm coaching him in coach pitch this year because you know why? I'd rather be so busy leading my kids and doing things that I should have said yes to than regretting things I said no to in the future. So Bo's a busy man, but I do what I love and I love what I do.
I love it, Bo. That comes across as clear. And whatever sport they're in, whether it's your forte or not, this activity, this game will never happen again. So kudos to you for not missing a game, not missing a season. And even though basketball is not your forte, I already know what you bring to the bench. You bring a little positive energy. So if somebody misses a shot or misses an assignment, I already know you're the guy that's patting them on the back, encouraging them to get back in there and put the ball up again.
Yep, I've had a really good theme as of late, and it's going to come up in our interview, almost guarantee. You know what that theme is?
What's that?
Growth. Growth is better than perfection.
Yes.
Growth is better
Yes.
than perfection. So when my kids are growing in sports and their teammates are growing, that's better than being perfect. We're going to miss shots. Okay.
That's it.
Are you better than the game before? Are you better than the beginning of the season at the end? That's all that matters, really. Did you put your best in? Did you
I,
grow?
I love it. But how does that parallel to business? Because that's the
Yeah.
perfect segue for me. I want to stay with your kids for a second. So, as a dad whose youngest turned 21 2 days ago, I miss where you are in life right now. I
Man.
miss the rec league. I miss the travel ball. To the very best of my ability, I
Yeah.
volunteered. I raised my hand like you. If there was a head coach, I tried to support the coach as much as possible. And I tried to give as much support and encouragement on the bench as I possibly could. So, I love where you are in the journey with your kids because, well, speak to this point.
Yeah.
You can't see your kids in the classroom. I'm sure they excel. I'm
Right.
sure they do well. But how do you like being there at games and seeing your kids handle the adversity of a missed shot, of a missed hit on the baseball field,
Yeah.
of, when they don't, rotate properly in baseball, which is a big deal? How do you like that ride home and
Yeah.
being able to talk to them
Yeah.
afterwards?
I have a really good story that actually lines up with this. So, my son that's 13, he did not play baseball until he was 10 years old. He didn't play T-ball, he didn't play coach pitch. He missed all the fundamental years. And he started baseball and I was embarrassed. I went out and watched him and I was like, "Dang, did I fail as a dad? I almost forgot he was left-handed." And he couldn't catch, couldn't throw. But by the end of that first season, I was not the coach, but he grew immensely. His one thing that you can't teach or I'm sorry, you can teach, but it's harder to teach is just working hard and not giving up. And if you can instill that at a young age, it's much easier in a kid than it is an adult. If you can teach a kid, I've struggled to teach an adult how to work hard. I have,
Yes.
but it's much easier to teach a kid. So my son wanted to try out for a travel team after 1 year. And I said, no, let's work a little longer. My son decided, and we set up in our extra garage, we set up a net, T-ball, and some baseballs, and he would hit a bucket of balls every day, and he'd pitch a bucket of balls every day for an entire year. Came back in second season of rec ball, and he was the best kid. And then I let him try out because I told him, you're not ready to try out, and I'm going to be honest. So being honest with your kids is a huge thing, but crushing their dreams, Kevin, is not okay. Too
No,
many
no, no,
parents
no,
crush
no.
kids' dreams and they say, it's not like you're going to go pro. I don't know what my son's going to do. And I pray he could. So he tries out for the first team he tries out. He didn't make it. We got a phone call. He called the team calls. And by the way, I made him try out. I not made him. I encouraged him to try out for a couple of teams before the team he wanted to make. Why? I wanted him to get used to a bunch of adults with clipboards staring at you, telling you what to do. That adversity, that toughness of being on a stage and performing is tough for an 11-year-old. So had him do it. First team he didn't make. They called us and said, and I got off the phone. I went to my son and I had to tell him he didn't make it. Even though it wasn't the exact team he wanted to make, being rejected and told you're not good enough hurts. And I looked at him and I wanted to cry with him, but I didn't. And I let him cry. I hugged him and I said, "Don't worry. Don't worry." And guess what? Not even 5 minutes later, Kevin, he's outside hitting against that net again. And then guess what? Not even 5 minutes later, the same coach that called me to say he didn't make it called and said, "We decided to put him on the B team."
Let's
He
go.
still made the travel team. And
Let's
then
go.
guess what? Tried out for a couple more teams. And the one that he wanted to make, he ended up making it. So the adversity that you go through in sports, in the competition, and the hard work and positivity has to translate to being an adult. And that's why I've always enjoyed, working with athletes. I wasn't the best athlete, man, but
No.
I can tell you this. A lot of people would tell you that I worked hard and hard work has gotten me through, and the competitiveness to want to be better than who you were yesterday and even better than other people around you can also increase your productivity and help you grow. So, that adversity that he went through, it was like, how do I support him, but I don't let him quit? You don't
I-
you don't let somebody give up on something you know they want to do. And as a father, I didn't force him to go outside because I would have thought he needs time to maybe breathe and get over this. To him, he's outside, tears in his eyes, still not dried, and he's hitting the ball. And that's a great example for us as adults. And sometimes we need to be more like the kids.
I love it, and we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that energy. And there's so many parallels. Let's pivot a little bit to. It doesn't surprise me what your kid did in your role as the father, because one thing I like to say, the role of the father is to take the kids farther,
Mm,
farther, farther.
I like that.
So let's pivot. Let's pivot to business a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me what you love about being an insurance agent.
Man, okay. I love one insurance, but I love people more. Ha!
I
You
love
knew
it.
I was going to work that in.
When
We
you
love
say it
insurance,
twice
but
for
we
the
love.
people in the back.
Yep. So we love insurance, but we love people more. Obviously, it's a trademark slogan that I have, but I'm going to be honest. It was my core mantra in our filter, Kevin, to everything that we did. And that's why I love it. When you love something, you know something. You know somebody, you love somebody, you know them deeply. You care about them. I care about insurance, but really, I care about people more. What does that even mean? It means that I am here to protect and serve the customers that come to me for insurance. And what does that mean? It means being honest with people, Kevin. So many agents in America are not honest with their clients, meaning that they are afraid to tell them it costs more to get more. You get what you pay for in insurance. And if you want to be cheap, you get less. But I have conviction of a leader to tell people, wink, wink, to tell people the truth. They need to hear. I think of insurance like I'm a doctor. And
Yes.
when a doctor does something well, they ask questions, they figure out the treatment or diagnosis so they can give the correct treatment. I am but a doctor, maybe a lower
Yes.
level doctor of insurance, but I'm asking questions to figure out what I need to do to give them the correct treatment. Ask the wrong questions, get the wrong treatment. And if you get the wrong treatment, they're unprotected and their assets are at risk. So when I ask the right questions, I feel like I'm doing better by people. And it makes me sad to think that we sell insurance, and I've done it in the past, and people still do it, is they sell praying to God they don't need more. I pray they got enough, and it's not a worst case scenario. I pray they have a best case scenario with insurance, and I prepare for the worst case. And I always tell people, Kev, I love insurance because I get to. I'm here for you on your worst day. That's the truth, and I don't want you to blame me on my worst day. I want you to thank me on your worst day.
Bo, I love your answer. Everything you said about the comparison to the medical practice is what I preach and what I teach. So, brother, you're preaching to the choir. I want to challenge you on one thing that you said.
Yeah.
You said you're a step lower than a doctor. I respectfully disagree because people entrust you and I to
Yeah.
ensure their most valuable possessions. They bust
Yeah.
their hump to get a house, to get a car, to get a business, to become a goose that can afford to lay a couple of golden eggs. So I always, in my own agency and coaching other agents, as you do as well, encourage them to look at themselves as a doctor and
Yeah.
to ask harder questions. And Bo, I stole a question from my doctor that I've been sharing with agents. So in Ohio, you go to the doctor like I do. They give you the same checklist, either by paper or
Yeah.
by text, and you go head to toe. Bo, how you feeling today?
Yeah.
But Bo, last year at the end of my annual physical, my doctor asked me one more question. I want to see what you think to this. Bo, other than everything that I asked you about related to your insurance, what's the one question that I should have asked you? What's
Ooh,
keeping you up at night? What should I have asked you? What's your response to that question?
man. So as a customer for insurance, is that what you're
Mhm.
asking me?
Absolutely. What do you think? Is that a good question to
That's a
ask
great
people?
question. Man,
Yeah.
it's thought provoking because I mean the truth is this, the doctor's not the patient. So
Yeah.
it is important to ask the patient, is there something I should have asked? Because even as you ask this, I am the salesperson, I am the agent. It's hard for me to even put myself in that shoe and know what I didn't ask. Because if I knew what I didn't ask, I would have asked it. So
Yep.
great question. I love it actually. And I think maybe I borrow it too, if you don't mind.
You
So
can have it. You don't even have to return it. You can
yeah.
keep it and you can use it with all the great work that you're doing in leading agents.
think
Well,
it's
take
great.
me to Stowe, Ohio.
Yeah,
Tell me something that if I were a local agent in Stowe, Ohio, and position me with where you guys are. I know a little bit
yeah,
about Ohio. I've driven across Route 80 a bunch of times. I
yeah,
know a little bit about the lake in Cleveland, but where are we, one, in Stowe, Ohio?
yeah.
Give the people in the California or New York area where I am a
Kevin,
sense of what it's like there. And what are the questions that you have to
yeah,
ask to prepare people there for natural disasters and other events that are unique to Stowe, Ohio?
yeah. All right. Well, great question. I've never had anybody ask that, especially in a podcast interview. So I love it. Okay. We are in Ohio. Northern Ohio is northeast Ohio, really is what we call it. I am in a suburb between Cleveland and Akron, Ohio.
Nice.
My office is 5 minutes from Kent State University.
Nice.
So we are in a great area. We are 1 hour from Lake Erie, 35 minutes from downtown Cleveland. So go Guardians or Indians, Cavaliers,
Yes.
Browns. I'm a big sports fan in a big sports town because a lot of people would say there's not a lot in Cleveland but the sports. And I would argue to say that there's some great people and great places. Kevin, someday I hope to show you them all. So we are we are not too far, 40 minutes from the Hopkins Airport. We are right off of the Turnpike. I actually live one town above Stowe. Stowe is where my agency is. I'm one town above. It's Hudson and Stowe, which is Stowe is just south. Hudson is right on the Turnpike. So 80 that you talked about, you would go right through my town. Quite frankly, I probably could see you at the back of my neighborhood if you let me know when you were driving by. So, how do I help people prepare in boring Ohio, right? That's what people think outside of Ohio. But I would tell you this, we have experienced a ton of growth in Ohio, especially right after COVID. We saw people moving in droves to Ohio. Why? Cost of living was extremely low compared to America, but the income was not so far off.
Yeah.
So, the life that you can have here has changed slightly in 5 years. People's homes are so underinsured in Ohio because the cost of materials in Ohio is the same as New York.
Right. Right.
Labor may be different, but the cost of materials, they don't say it's going to New York, charge more.
No.
Like it's the
Yeah.
same New Jersey, New York as it is Ohio. So people have become underinsured in Ohio because cost of building has skyrocketed in Ohio because of demand. Demand
Yeah.
has grown. And a lot of people confuse, Kevin, market value with rebuild cost. You know that.
Yes.
Not even close
Absolutely.
to being the same. Let's remove where the land is. Building a home that's this size in brick or wood, siding or vinyl is going to be the same here as it's going to be 5 hours down the road. Almost the exact same. The property
Absolutely.
is what changes the value of a home. Where is the property located? So that's one thing. Natural disasters, we don't have a lot, but what we do get is rain and snow. What does that
Yes.
mean? Water, ice dams, etc. So making sure your roof deductible is on point and you understand what it means and are you educated in a deductible. Kevin, the one thing we like to tell people is we don't like to say what's your deductible. We like to tell them, hey, let me explain what this means and what your self insurance of the home or of the roof is. We like to break it down like that. And because roofs and water backup, which is in somebody's basement below ground, is two of our biggest claims when it comes to homes. So now, Kevin, I had a very big event happen to me. At least it was bad timing and it was my fault, Kevin.
Okay.
I talk
Okay.
about leading with liability, which you do too. And we want to educate our customers. And I always prepare for your worst day, not your best. When
Yes.
people need a claim, it's usually their worst day. No one says, Kev, I got in an accident in my brand new car. It's a good day. Good day.
No, it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
No. So, Kevin, I was insured for $10,000 of water backup. And I'm this guy that's always said, prepare for the worst. I
Yes.
thought, worst case scenario, I get
Yes.
some water backup from the creek behind my house. I did not think, Kevin, and I was at National Summit in Nashville for Allstate. And guess what happened?
What
My
happened?
basement flooded.
Oh
Flooded.
my God.
The neighborhood Okay. Now I say flooded, water backed up. Okay.
Yep.
The neighborhood's water level rose, and in the middle of the street was 3 to 5 feet. Now,
Wow.
thankfully, our house is up a little bit, but what happened was our sump pumps could not keep up and failed. What then happens when they fail? Water comes up out of the ground and out of the sump pumps, and it filled up our house. I had 10K. We had just finished the basement
Oh,
3 weeks earlier, Kevin. It hurt so bad. I didn't
no,
update.
Bo.
I did
No.
not update my insurance after finishing the basement. I had brand new drywall. I had brand new paint. I had a custom bar built so that I
Oh
could
my
wind
God.
down with Kevin when he comes to town. I had a accent wall with panels and a mantle and a TV and a fireplace. I had brand new carpet.
Wow.
And guess what happened? I lost it all. And
And
guess
you
how
got
much I lost? $56,000. And guess what I got? 10 grand. Why was it so much, Kevin? Because I didn't plan for the worst. I planned for a best case scenario. It would be wet. I would suck it out. I would clean the carpet. We'd be good. I did
no.
not expect, Kevin, to lose my furnace, my hot water tank, my washer, my dryer, and everything below 8 feet. I did not expect that, but I did. So, Kevin, I can sell with even more conviction than before because it happened to me and I warned people and it happened to me. So, when you make adjustments to your home and the price and the value of your home, you need to let your agent know. If you haven't, you're already behind and it's time to catch up. I am an agent and I still forgot. And I let that happen. Would I have done it at my next review? Yeah, I typically try to review it myself. Quite frankly, you know what I've done as an agent? I've made my office my customer service manager review with me because I tend to forget as an agent some of the things that I preach the most that are most important to me. So I have accountability from my own customer service manager to do reviews, and we would have for sure increased that because that's what we do.
If you would have
But
gotten to it. So here's the saying that's definitely appropriate for this story. The saying is the shoemaker never has shoes. We get busy taking care of
yeah,
everyone else and we forget ourselves, but it goes without saying, and you did an amazing job of explaining it. You probably answered 5 questions in one breath because not only is that going to benefit you as an agent, your agency is going to better serve their customers, and
yeah,
the agents you coach around the country grow from your experience. I can't think of a better immediate story about the importance of that review and updating coverages. And as someone who also updated his basement post COVID, we definitely did that because anyone listening, if you're concerned about the creek water, the sewer water, wherever it comes from, water is no respecter of people or property. It didn't look around and say, hey, that's Bo's house. He's a great guy. Let's skip his house and only go to the neighbors. It's no respecter of people and property. So, Bo, you have so far established yourself as the elite agent, what someone should do in Hudson, Ohio. When you say Hudson now, I know exactly where you're at because you're near where the old Allstate regional office used to be, which I could see from Route 80. So I know exactly
I
where you
was just
are.
there yesterday, Kevin, with Town Hall, and it is like 8 minutes from my home in the same town I live. So what a blessed area to be in because we still have a big corporate building, but we have about like a handful of people there. So, but like it's still there, and big meetings in town always go there. So I'm glad I see. I did a pretty good job of explaining. Even
Oh,
you
you
know
put
now.
me right there. You put me right there, position yourself between Cleveland and Akron. You did it
You are.
all. Hey, Bo, let's go big picture with you. So I've been doing the 50 podcasts with 50 agents in 50 states, really to tell some of those local stories. But I would do a disservice to my audience if I didn't talk about your national reach as a coach, as a leader of your own podcast, as a leader of the Leadership Academy at CWC. So let me ask a opening question, and then we'll drop down to some specifics. What do you love about coaching and helping other agents run their agency?
Oh man. Well, thank you for asking that because it is near and dear to my heart. I want to be the person that I needed. That's what I want to be first and foremost to other people. So many times in life I've looked back and said I wish I had somebody like that in my life. I wish I had somebody that would tell me the truth, but not just tell me the truth, but show me the way. And
Yes.
and it's so hard in our competitive field for people to share what they do great. Would you agree? They like to hide it. We
Yes,
have a
yes,
lot of braggers that
yes,
don't want to help.
yes,
And then
yes,
we have people like you and I that are willing to take what we learned and potentially even train the guy down the road to be as good or better than us. And when
yes,
you let down your guard, I have never lost serving and investing in other people. God has continued to bless me by putting other people first and blessing them. And when you serve other people and you help them, let me tell you something, Kevin. I feel like I've changed the world one
yes,
person at a time. And
yes,
when you start with, no kid says, I want to ruin the world. They say, I want to change the world.
yes,
And when we get older, we get beat down and we lose and we become negative and say the world's not what I thought it was as a kid. But even the Bible says this child is the greatest in the kingdom, Jesus says. So if I
yes,
can keep the mindset of a child where I have all the world to give, here's a dollar. Because you ever seen it? You ever give a kid a dollar to grandson or kid and they just give it away?
yes, absolutely,
And it's like,
absolutely.
I want to be like that with my time, my knowledge, because it helps. And Kevin, what I've learned is this: when you change an agency for the better, you're changing the world. And I'll explain why, because I think that business owners, specifically small business owners, have the biggest impact on the community in the world. And it's underlooked sometimes. Why?
Yes,
Because when a business owner is great, they create a great life, a great pay, great benefits for an employee. That employee goes home and tells their family how great their job is. They feel blessed, they feel loved, they feel safe. Their kids see that. Their kids are in a better spot because of it. Their income, financial stability is better. It changes generations in that household. And when we change generations, we change the world and we change it for years to come. And they may never relate it back to me. And that's been one of my biggest, challenges in life, is to not worry about who knows what I'm doing. God
yes,
knows and God
yes,
sees. And that I don't need to get the love and respect that I all the time. I just need to do what I would want somebody to freely give to me. And it's not always free. And people do pay, but there are a lot of people that I go above and beyond with. And when I care about their heart, care about their life, that's not what they pay me for. They pay me to help them with the processes, the businesses, but I actually care beyond that. And that's why I love what I do, and the reach that I have had is because I truly care about them. Even if they don't turn around and give me the love maybe I deserve on the back end, it doesn't really matter. I get to
yeah.
see the fruit that's come from the blessings of being able to work with people who so willingly want to listen to the advice I have.
I love it, Bo. I love it, Bo. Uh, Talking to you and the answers that you give allows me to smile and be quiet because you see the world so richly, so
Hmm.
positively, as a humble servant leader as I do. So
Yeah.
I can listen to you go for a while. So, Bo, two things. Community. You
Hmm.
mentioned it there, and
Yeah.
you are of service. You talked about coaching already.
Yeah.
You're serving community organizations. You're
Yeah.
serving in your church. Why is it important for insurance agents to give back and be involved in their local communities?
Yeah. I think it's extremely important because one of the things that we lead with is caring for other people and their assets. But you know what's a lot easier to give, Kevin? Is money. You know what's harder to
Yes,
give is time, effort,
yes,
and show
yes,
up.
yes,
And you think about kids that are most sad, like we live in a pretty good community. And it's sad sometimes to me that the parents give them time or money, but no time.
right.
And I would say it's much easier at times for us to just donate a dollar than it is to show up for an hour.
Yeah,
And I think that showing up is a way more important than giving. So if you can give and show up, do them both. But showing up to my church is not about me giving money. It's about me showing up and being there for people, showing up for sports. I don't get paid to coach sports. I show up because it's about them. It's because I have something that I know I can give to somebody else. And it's not always money, it is the time. And it goes back to this heart of that everybody just wants to feel like they belong. That's it.
yes,
And in life,
yes,
they want to know, do I make an impact and do I belong? And if I'm there for one kid, one adult to make them feel much better about themselves and make them feel like they matter and they belong, it'll change their life. And somebody who's been through like a lot in their life, emotionally, physically, with other family members, etc., and seen some ups and downs. I think I've been scarred just enough to not stop me, but encourage me to make sure that I'm here for people. And that's it. Because that's what we want. We want to know that we
Well,
care, people care, and your life matters and you belong. And if I'm there to just give back, that's more than, and it's like I'm not here because I own an Allstate. I'm here because I care about you.
Bo, I was going in another direction, but you just open your heart. And if I'm halfway decent as an interviewer, um, we jumped right into family, into Allstate, and giving back to the community. I never
Yeah.
asked you about your backstory. Tell your backstory of becoming Bo Vincent. Tell you what's your
Man.
backstory. Not only getting into it, but where
Yeah.
does this heart, where does this conviction of
Yeah.
a leader, where does it come from? What's the source of who you are that has this passion, this conviction to
Yeah.
help others?
Man. So it's a great question. I mean, and I don't like saying that all the time, but it's true because you're phenomenal at doing this, Kevin. And that's why, Kevin, I just want to say this to you and your audience before we move, in case I forget, is that I've always looked up to you. I respect you. The reason that you said that you could sit back and listen to me is because I can sit back and listen to you. And I love what you have to say. And I look up to you and I respect you with the utmost honor and respect that you deserve because I see the man that you are and what you've done. And I just love spending time with you. And I was sad you weren't in Cancun. I was sad I haven't seen you in a couple months, but this is good for us. Okay. It's
Yes,
very good.
yes,
But you asked me, where does that heart come from? Well, a broken heart can help other people's heal. And I think that if you've never been there, it's hard to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. God has allowed me to have a unique path. And that unique path has showed me to be very empathetic and loving of others because I know what it feels like on the other side. And I would tell you this is that as a kid, I was told that, I was a jokester. Was meant to feel like I didn't have a lot of value. And what happens is you've heard of these things of where people, they make other people laugh that maybe they're uncomfortable. Maybe they're uncomfortable for themselves or maybe they feel good when they make people laugh. So I was meant to feel by teachers that I was no good.
right.
And even my parents had said, "You're too rebellious. You need to get your stuff together." And um, it took till I was 17. I had a teacher tell me that you're really good at leadership and business naturally. I just need you to channel that in the right way for you, and you'll change the world. And it took till 17 to have one teacher, one person make me feel like I had this ridiculous amount of natural ability that if I played into, I could become the best at instead of good. You're naturally good, but you could be the best at this. So I didn't, it didn't snap out right away. I had to fail out of college not once, but twice, Kevin, in order to understand that, wow. So failing and then seeing my father struggle with addictions and go to prison has led to me seeing the world in a different light. A lot of people think Bo must have had an easy life because he's got a great life now. And I think that we can have a great life and appreciate that great life because of the valleys we've been through when we're at the mountains. And understanding that I hope a valley doesn't come again, but I've been through it and I can get through it again. So I think that's where the heart comes from, is to see that I know maybe that's why I want to help youth too, is that those are the years where you feel the most lost, but it's also extremely sad to see an adult that feels no value. So I think that understanding that deep down and realizing that there's been some great people in my life. My mom, my dad are not bad people. Just want you to know that. Okay. And they've done
Yes,
some amazing things for me, but there's been times where I've been lonely and felt unworthy and like I didn't belong. And then there's been times like these last 5 to 6 years where I feel like God has really blessed me. And it took 20 years of hard work to get to where I'm at today, 20 years of a career and leadership to get to where I'm at today. And I do not forget where it started. And a lot of times I walk into my agency and I see my name on the door and I stop and I thank God. Thank you, God, for
yes,
putting my name on that door because that name means something to you, God,
yes,
and to other people.
yes.
And I want to thank you for that. So it's important. And people want to know me now, which is just blows my mind. And I used to be like, I hope someday, Kevin, I always said, I heard this saying, someday somebody's going to say, when did you get so good at this? And I would say, I feel like I've always been good at it. People just never
Yeah.
gave me the chance. So, but the journey that I've been through is what really has shaped my heart and care for others. And, you belong, you matter. And I just want
Hey,
you to know.
man, you gave me the richest answer in the world. I'm going to give you some flowers and continue the podcast. Um, you mean the world to me, so you know that. But I also want to tell you the work you've created, the logo, the brand you've created for your insurance agency, which I've recited to many other people. We love insurance, but we love people more. You leading with that, and then some very specific processes and ideas you shared with me. We're working on cleaning up and growing on your processes right now. All
Yeah.
right, let's get out of the deep stuff and into the fun.
Let's do it.
I missed you last month in Cancun.
Yep.
Usually we're hanging out this time. I'm watching you creating videos and podcasting from Cancun. I've never been to Crazy Eight, but I love all the guys that are involved
I'm
in
going to make sure
Crazy
you're at
Eight.
the next one, Kevin. I will make sure that you come, even if I have to fly and pick you up. I'm making sure you're coming. Okay.
What did I miss? Give me the. Now we'll postpone it because you. Will I see you in Texas? That's what I want to know. Will I see you
Oh,
in Texas?
yeah. Yes. Yes. I'm
Okay.
bringing, you know, back to this heart though. I love to give, and I do believe it's a kingdom principle. I believe it's helped me. I think I had somebody once tell me, Kevin, when you're struggling, give more.
Yes.
Give more.
Say that again.
And
When we're
I'm
struggling,
bringing
what should we do? What should
give
we do when we're
more.
struggling?
Give
Yes, I
more.
love that. I
Give
love it.
more. So
Love it.
I am bringing 7 employees with me to Texas. I'm super excited about it. I can't
Nice.
wait. I'm not speaking, and that's even better. You know why? I am there to spend time with them and invest in them. Yeah, they like seeing their leader up there talking, but I am there for them. Spend time with them, hear about their thoughts. I want to grow our sales team because I'm bringing just the sales team. So I'm
Yes.
excited to bring
Yes.
them. One, I'll see you there.
Yes.
C8, let me tell you about C8. C8 has popped off, my man. We started out as just a group of great friends. We met in Colorado, New Mexico a couple years ago, and we all met up. One of our mutual friends got us to all come together, saw some potential in us, brought us together. We created a text group, and we just encouraged. We freely shared what we did great, and that has taken all of us almost 2 to 4 times the size. And I'm not talking your premium and insurance. I'm talking the growth, the reach, the businesses, etc. As a person, we've grown. And that's been valuable. We thought, why keep it a secret? We want to help other
Yes.
people create their
Yes.
C8. So C8 is actually 8 people is what it is. So we created a platform as a conference to give back. And in this conference, it's a mastermind. It's 8 presenters, and then you rotate from presenter to presenter. It is not classroom style. We have found that people like to be known, right? And how do you get
so
known? Smaller groups.
so
So,
let me tell you what people say about C8 behind your back.
oh no.
They say it's awesome. The
Okay.
the word on the street is that it's awesome. People like the smaller settings.
Yep.
People like walking away with valuable tips that if they're there on a Friday, they can implement on Monday. So that's what people are saying about C8 behind their back. Is
That's
that
great.
true? Is there any truth to that, or are people dragging you through the mud?
No, there is truth. And Kevin, I leave with better relationships too. And I learn, even though I present the whole time I'm there, I still leave with, what's funny is that I learned a long time ago, I'd rather leave with 3 great friendships than 30 people I just met. Now,
Wow.
I love shaking hands and meeting people, but there's something about from the time you and I met, we had some deep conversations and solidified our
Yes.
relationship, right?
Yes.
And that is more important to me than meeting 30 people and getting surface level. So I like to go, me, I'm not a surface level kind of guy because I share my heart, and I think that people long to share their heart and they're afraid to do so. And one thing that I've learned is when you share your heart, others share theirs. And it may
Yes.
not everybody, but some people do. And I think C8 has allowed people to say, I am struggling and I need help. And how do I do
Yes.
it? And when you're on a stage, and Kevin, no one, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love being on a stage, man. And I'm not gonna lie. I love stepping up on stage and helping people. I'm never shied away. You could ask me 5 minutes before, and I'd say I'd jump on a stage with a million people. I wouldn't care. So I'll sing, I'll speak, right? Whatever needs to happen. But what the difference is when you go small group, it becomes more intimate. We allow people to say, "Excuse me, Bo, what did you mean by that?" in the middle of our
Yes.
presentation, because
Yes.
why? We're here for them. I don't say,
Yes.
"Well, hush up. I need to finish my presentation." Right? And
Yes.
when you're at a big conference, you know what happens? Kevin talks. It's an amazing talk. And I'm like, I need to talk to Kevin. And I go to talk to Kevin, and there's 5 people in line, and I wait patiently. And then the next
Yeah.
session starts, and I don't get to him. And then I never make my way back to him, or I'm embarrassed and shy to ask a question to Kevin.
Yes.
So I never do.
Yes.
When you're in small group settings, somebody else asks a question you want to ask, and maybe they're less afraid to ask what you wanted to ask. Hey, Kevin,
Right.
your numbers don't jive. You're saying this, but you're saying that. And then you're like, Kevin explains and goes, maybe you misunderstood it. It's this, this, and this. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. So people will ask questions for other people, and understanding, really, at the end of the day, we pray that people leave with an understanding they didn't have before, whether it's my presentation or Ryan's or Andrew's or Corey's or Justin's or Stephanie's or Wyatt's. They leave better than they came, and they leave with relationships they didn't have before. That's so much more important, because it goes back to the heart of what I've said, is that people matter more than the actual content, right?
Bo, no, this is phenomenal and amazing. So we got to circle the airport and get ready to land the plane. But
Yes.
I got to ask you some. I got to ask you some questions. Well, right now there's some agents watching us on live stream, whether they're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe they're in a state like me, like New York or New
Yeah.
Jersey or Florida or California, where they can't enjoy the fruits of their labor the way that some of the land-bound states
Yeah.
can. How important is it for these agents? I want to sell a couple of tickets to the Texas Leaders Forum to come outside. How important has networking and masterminding been for you with other agents and your journey? How many years are you an agent? I didn't even lead with that. But how
Yeah.
important is it to be around agents that are performing at a high level or learning, mastering some new technique, digital or otherwise? How important has that been to you in being a force multiplier in
Yeah.
your growth?
So 5 years as an agent, heading towards 6, about 5.5 years right now. Um, it's very important to surround yourself with people at these conferences. One, Kevin, when I give something away for free, sometimes it's impactful, but most of the time people don't think there's a lot of value to it.
Yeah.
So people that pay to go grow themselves are taking it serious,
Yes.
taking their growth serious, the team serious, their business serious, investing in their own growth, in the business growth. So that's one. Know that most conferences you go to are surrounded with people that are obsessed with growing, obsessed
Yes.
with sharing, obsessed with learning. But there are people I meet, Kevin, and I say this for the people that are skeptical. You don't know everything. And you need to know, you need to hear that from me. You don't know everything. Is there a better way? Always a better way. Always somebody better. One, two, can you learn from people that sell less than you? Absolutely. Can you learn
Yes.
from people that sell more from you? Not always.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I want you to understand, to open your ears and your heart, and understand that growth is starts up here,
Mhm.
and you have to believe that you can grow and that you want to grow and you can grow. When you stay a student, as long as possible, you learn the most. When you
Mhm.
become an expert, and I would say that I'm an expert in some areas, but I keep the mindset of being a student. Kevin, I just started a class for negotiating online,
Mm.
Michigan University online. I'm doing a class
Wow.
for negotiating for success. Why? Because I identified I was really good at selling, really good at leading, but I am piss poor sometimes at negotiating. And
Wow.
I said, you know what? That doesn't make sense. I
Yes.
need to fix that. So you find these people, these conferences that line up with you. It's very hard for my wife to understand what I go through in insurance and what it is. And I don't necessarily need her to understand it because she's my wife. and and
Yes.
and I'm her husband, and we don't always have to do the exact same thing. Now, some people work with their spouses, and that's totally fine. My wife doesn't, but who understands is those at these conferences. They
Yes.
understand what your goals are, your minimum expectations. They know what acronyms like ASC, ACS, VC, etc. mean. They know. They
Yeah.
can speak your language.
Yeah.
And one of the toughest things, Kevin, in life, and I said this already, is feeling alone. And business owners and leaders tend to feel alone and they isolate themselves. It's time to open the door, step out, and spend time with people who feel the same way you do. They just have been speaking it longer and they're finding a way to get through. It's time for you to join the crowd and join and go find your people. There's going to be somebody there that you're going to connect with if you want to. And this is one thing that I always say about our conference at C8, but CWC, Texas Leaders Forum. Here's an advice for those that go to a lot of conferences. You see somebody alone, you go talk to them. Go talk
Yes.
to them. They
Yes.
came out of their comfort zone. They paid to come. They flew alone, maybe, and they're at this conference and they're learning. But it does feel lonely to be alone. Bring them in.
Yes.
Put them by your team. Talk to them. Introduce them to people. Do everything you can to make people feel more comfortable, because the saddest part is some people go to conferences, they either don't learn what they wanted to or they feel lonely and they never go back again. It's a sad thing.
So here's my standard of a good conference. If you make one connection and you leave with one idea, it's huge.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, it's incredibly valuable. Bo, let me ask you next question. Question I ask everybody. You're doing it in the agency, you're coaching agents around the country, you're traveling, you're sharing, you're giving, your community, your church. How do you wind down at the end of the day? How do you turn it off? How
Mhm.
do you decompress?
Man, I haven't talked a lot about this lately. And I'm like, I love that you're asking this because it's extremely important. A lot of people would think Bo is has no time left at the end of the day. And I'll be honest with you, I do spend, you ever heard the saying like shoot all the arrows in your quiver?
Yes,
When I lay down at night, I fall asleep. Why? Because I did my best today.
yes.
And I actually turn it off very easily. I've delegated to some amazing leaders in my business,
Mhm.
and they're leading this business like it's their business because it is.
Yes,
And
yes.
it feels so good that I know I can coach. Kevin, I'm up to 30 some people and 60, 70 appointments a month because why? But I love it. But I can do that because I have some amazing people around me. I lay my
Yes.
head down at night and not worry about my business because I've delegated parts of my business to very, very great people like Rachel, Kathy, and a lot of our leaders on our team. And they have been the biggest blessing in my life. And one of the biggest rewards of leading them is watched their growth, personal and professional and financial. And I can lay my head down at night knowing that if I don't wake up tomorrow, I did my best today. And that's really the truth is that, Kevin, I hope I don't die. I really do. But if I
Mhm.
do, I want you to come to it would mean a lot to me if you came to my funeral and said, Bo was just on the podcast and he said he was living out all his dreams and doing his best.
I can
That's
do
it.
that for you, brother. I'd like it more if you gave me an opportunity to sing. Offline, you were singing before the podcast. I've never been asked to sing for good reason, but
Well, then you can sing
Bo,
in my
you did.
way.
You gave me a great answer about other people, but how do you unplug? I'm
Mhm.
listening for the answer. How do you unplug? I've
Oh,
seen your trips.
sorry.
I've seen you get your
Yeah.
workout on in the morning, but at the end of the day, the last appointment, you're done. The agency is good. You have
Yeah.
your numbers. You did your checklist of your appointments. You checked in with
Mhm.
everybody. It's whatever time of night that is. How do you get away from it all? And boy, I asked that question for a very specific reason. Being a business owner and tapping into some of the mindset challenges that you talked about, the loneliness, the stress, the weight of carrying it all. One of the most vital things that I hope people take away from this podcast is one tip from each guest of this is how I hit the light switch to turn it off.
Yeah.
What's that one tip for you? How do you hit the switch? How do you turn it off?
Man, the second that my son says, Dad, will you play with me? There's this like and a lot and sometimes my wife needs to look at me and say, so like
Yes.
last night, for example, my son just said to me like, Dad, I want to play. And I work hard and I coach a lot of teams. And some nights I work all the way up until baseball and I go straight to baseball, get home from baseball at 7:38. And my 7-year-old doesn't have much time left to see his dad. And that's the truth because I'm investing in my other son, right?
Right.
So on the nights where I don't, but it's just knowing that when I'm here for my family, I need to put the phone down and I need the people that I work with know like don't call me unless it's emergency. Don't bother
Yeah.
me. I wouldn't bother you on a weekend um, about me consulting you. Okay. So
Yes.
I don't mean don't bother me. It means respect it. And I'll
Yes.
respect you. You respect my time. And when my kids say, Dad, I just want to play. I want to spend time with you. I've been very intentional about that. One. Two is that ultimately my wife was here before them and she'll be here after them. And my
Yes.
wife is so important to my mental stability and my health and really been such a driver to my success. And I'll explain why. She supported my dreams, my success, but I love to bless her. I love to bless her
Yes.
with time, material, etc. But ultimately, time is all she really wants from me. She's such a lovely person and a beautiful person that doesn't ask for a lot. So for her, like it's time, it's effort. And when I can disengage from work and do the dishes like a normal person, like everybody else, when I can disengage, go throw a football. It was dark last night. My son asked to play football. We have a glow in the dark football that lights up.
Yes.
We played for almost an hour. We let him
Nice.
stay up longer than normal because he needed time with his dad. And I think that those things help me unplug is because I'm here. I heard somebody say a long time ago, Kevin, I'm here to create memories for my kids. I'm here for them. And like God gave me a dad. Now I am one. So
Yes.
I am here for them. And I believe that fathers should be here for their kids and and husbands should be there for their wives. And I think that it's not about, hey, I provide an income for this family and that's enough. No, I need
Nope.
to be there and they need to know that they matter to me more than my customers and more than the people that pay for me. My kids matter more. And there's times like last week I had to cancel some appointments to make room for some things that were going on with my family. And I think that is the one thing is that I am not going to be a slave to my business. I'm
I
going to
love it.
use it as an opportunity to be there for my family. And it's been such a blessing to feel success, but then understand that, hey man, I can unplug and if I have to, Kev, I can go back to my office after everybody's asleep if I need to. But the
Yeah.
best night and best days are I do my best, I unplug, I look at my kids and I go see it. And you want to know something cool about my two older sons? Guess what they've been making? So I work out. That's another way
Okay.
to unplug. My two oldest kids have been begging me to work out almost every day. So if
I
I don't
love
have
it.
sports, they're saying, Dad, let's work out. And I worked out this morning, but I'll go again
Nice.
with them. You know why? Because
Nice.
I care and I love them and I want to be there for them. And that to me makes me smile and unplug and feel good. I don't need to. I don't mind a bourbon here or there. I don't mind a little bit of wine. I don't mind a walk in the sun, but nobody wants to drink alone or walk alone. I like having
You
people
gave
with me,
you
and I
gave
love
a
my kids.
phenomenal answer. That answer I can accept. What I heard loud and clear is the wife and kids. You understand their love language, which is time, and you give that.
Yeah.
Bo, the plane is landing. Final question I always like to ask, and you answered. I usually ask for encouraging words, but the whole podcast you gave a ton. So let me end with this question. What are a couple of things that you're working on right now that you'd like to talk about that I should have
Mm.
asked you about, but I didn't?
Well, I am working on two things. I may let the cat out of the bag, but I
Let it
don't care.
out.
I don't really care.
Breaking
Yeah, and
news.
Kevin's asking. Um, I I am working to create a team of coaches that I can coach and help grow. Why I always gravitate towards leaders. And that's what I want to do. I want to create a bunch of coaches that understand how to put people first. If something today resonated with you listening, I would encourage you to email me, call me, text me, say, Bo, I either want to coach with you, I want to get to know you, or Bo, could you help me be a coach? And maybe I can solve that. Or if you just say, Bo, I feel alone, I feel depressed, I feel lonely, I can help you with that too. But that's one thing I'm working on. The other thing, Kevin, is I've been working on this for 5 or 6 years in my head, and I needed to get it out. So I've been writing down things. I just want to, I'm not going to paint the whole picture, but I want you to think of a full service coach for business from top to bottom, not somebody who just life coaches you with processes. But I will share more offline because it's not there yet. But I mean, I want people to know that soon enough, it'll be a team that has been trained to do what I do and better, because I am not against people getting better than me. I actually enjoy it. And lastly, full service. What does that mean? Everything that has to do with insurance, from telephone to leads to coaching to employment to hiring to training. It's a full service is coming. When's it coming? I don't know, but it could be soon. And the conviction of a leader is really the driver of that, is because conviction is a strongly held belief, and I believe people need great leaders in this world. So the conviction of a leader is going to fuel that. And yeah, that's where it's going. It's not stopping.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bo Vincent, thank you so much. Bo, you've been a phenomenal guest. Thank you to everybody that tuned in and watched this on live stream, whether you caught us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or you're listening to it on your favorite podcast platform at some later date. We thank you for the time. If you enjoyed this content, and I know you did, click on that subscribe and notification button below. And if you really liked it, you took a lot of tips from Bo, share it with a friend. Can't close out without thanking my sponsors, Carol Media and Canopy Connect, and my banking partner, Wintrust. Please reach out to them, Carol Media, all things social media, Canopy Connect if you're looking to digitize your process to grow your agency, and definitely on the financial side of this business, Wintrust Connect. That being said, I am your host, Kevin Spann. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Wind Down with Kev and taking a trip to Stowe, Ohio with my good friend, Bo Vincent.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing your wonderful platform with me.